August 31st, 2025, the UK's largest automaker goes dark. Within hours, 5,000 companies would be crippled. Within weeks, Britain's GDP would take a measurable hit. This is the story of the most expensive hack in British history. Jaguar Land Rover, Britain's automotive crown jewel, a supply chain connecting over 5,000 organizations. Every week, roughly £50 million in output. But there's a problem. A decision made in boardrooms, far from the factory floor. To cut costs, Jaguar outsourced significant portions of its IT infrastructure, including, critically, its cybersecurity. The stage was set, and somewhere in the digital shadows, hackers were watching. August 31st, 2025. Scattered Spider, Lapsus, and Shiny Hunters. Three notorious hackers operated as one. Their methods? Devastatingly simple. They exploited a zero-day vulnerability in a third-party remote access tool. Once inside, they moved laterally through Jaguar's network like ghosts. Internal SAP systems, production controls, manufacturing software. One by one, they fell. By September 2nd, when Jaguars publicly acknowledged the breach, it was already too late. Production lines across multiple plants, frozen. Employees told to stay home. The supply chain in chaos. But who were these hackers? Scattered Spider isn't your typical cyber-criminal organization. They're mostly teenagers or in their 20s, operating from bedrooms and cafes, communicating through Telegram. They don't wear hoodies in dark rooms, they look like your neighbor's kids. But don't let their age fool you. This group had already hit M&S, Co-op, and dozens of other major corporations. They're sophisticated, they're coordinated, and they're ruthless. September turned into October, and the UK watched in horror as the damage multiplied. Jaguar wasn't just losing money, it was hemorrhaging it. £50 million per week. But that was just the beginning. The supply chain began to crumble. Small manufacturers who made parts for Jaguar, logistics companies, dealerships, over 5,000 organizations, each one dependent on Jaguar's Land Rover production, each one now struggling to survive. The British government had no choice. In late September, they guaranteed £1.5 billion in loans, not to Jaguar, to keep their suppliers alive. The taxpayer was now footing the bill for a cyber attack. Production was supposed to restart on September 24th. Then it was delayed to October 1st. Weeks turned into months, and with each passing day, the economic damage grew. October 22nd, 2025. The Cyber Monitoring Center releases their assessment. The number is staggering. £1.9 billion, $2.5 billion, the most economically damaging cyber attack in British history. To put that in perspective, it exceeded the infamous WannaCry ransomware attack of 2017. That attack hit hospitals, brought the NHS to its knees, and spread across the entire world. The Jaguar Land Rover hack? It targeted one company, one supply chain, and it did more damage. But the true cost goes deeper. On November 10th, the Bank of England released a shocking statement. The hack had impacted Britain's GDP. A single cyber attack, measurable in national economic statistics. So how did this happen? How does Britain's largest automaker fall victim to a group of teenage hackers? The answer lies in decisions made years before. Cost-cutting measures, IT outsourcing, security treated as an expense, not an investment. In 2018, companies like M&S outsourced more than half their IT teams. Others followed suit. Executives were rewarded for reducing IT costs. Bonuses paid for meeting KPIs. Security? That's harder to quantify. You can't measure the attacks that never happened. You can't put a number on prevention. But you can measure this: 2.5 billion in losses, 5,000 companies impacted, a nation's GDP affected. The UK's National Cybersecurity Centre now warns of 4 nationally significant cyber attacks every week. That's double the previous rate. In October, the NCSC, the National Crime Agency, and government ministers sent an urgent letter to every FTSE 350 company. The message was clear: protect yourselves, because the next attack is coming. Today, Jaguar's production lines are running again, but the scars remain. The hackers were never officially identified by the British government. The Telegram channels where they bragged about their exploits? Deleted. The stolen data? Still out there somewhere. 4 teenagers were arrested in the UK in July for related attacks, but the full extent of the Scattered Spider Collective remains unknown. They're decentralized, international, anonymous. This wasn't a nation-state attack. This was opportunistic criminals exploiting basic vulnerabilities. The Jaguar Land Rover hack exposed a fundamental truth about our modern world. We're all connected. And that connectivity is both our greatest strength and our most critical vulnerability.